Hello everyone, my name is Amber Darby. This video is for the Liberty University History 530 class on the American Christian Heritage, and today I'm going to be talking about the Scopes trial. According to Answers in Genesis, the monkey or the Scopes trial was one of the most notable events in terms of the Fundamentalist-Modernist Controversy. It also became one of the shaping moments in American religious history and one of the country's most famous trials. Now, this moment is also important, not just because someone decided to openly stand up against God through evolution, but also because a group of people decided to take it as far as the court of law. Now, the Scopes trial was initiated by the leadership of the American Civil Liberties Union in New York City. This group of people were openly against the anti-evolution bills, and they decided to pursue their case in Texas because one of these bills was the Butler Act. The Butler Act declared that it was unlawful for any teacher in any university or public school to teach any theory that denies the story of the divine creation as taught in the Bible, and to instead teach that man had descended from a lower order of animals. Now, the person that they chose as the main defense of this case was John Scopes, a teacher at a local high school who taught math and coached the football team for 1 year. Now, Scopes had no background in science, nor did he have an understanding or interest in evolution. In fact, the only thing that qualified him in this case was the fact that he was a science teacher when he filled in a position for a biology teacher for 2 weeks, and the fact that he didn't violate the Butler Act because of this is also important. But the one thing that considered him sufficient was the textbook that he was using, Civic Biology, which did cover a little bit on evolution. And so Scopes ended up getting arrested, and he was put on trial. And the trial was also interesting because the only legal issue that Scopes had was, did John Scopes violate the Butler Act by teaching that man descended from a lower class of animals? For all the court, however, the real issue wasn't Scopes' guilt or innocence, but rather should evolution be taught as a fact in public schools. Another thing that was interesting about this trial was the seriousness or the lack thereof. Anyone who saw the transcript of the trial would note that the defense team knew very little about evolution, and they failed in their efforts to establish why it was necessary to teach it in classrooms. Their main attempt, which was not done well, was to justify its reality and importance of equating evolution with human embryology. One more thing that was also interesting was the intense harshness of one of the lawyers is his tone. The lawyer last name Darrow, he was mainly against the Bible and Christianity. His anti-Christian hostility was so intense that at one point the judge, who was repeatedly interrupted and insulted, had him cited for contempt of court. And then, so in the end, John Scopes was found guilty of violating the Butler Act, and he had to pay a fine of $100. But this was acquitted by the Tennessee Supreme Court as a technicality. And then in 1967, the Butler Act itself was repealed in the Epperson versus the state of Arkansas. And so the Scopes trial, although the people involved did not actually win the case, they did win in noting that in their minds, evolution was an important thing that students should know, and that it should be taught in class, even if it went against the establishment of the divine creation. Thank you.